Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us again. Another Experiences Living Abroad. I'm here with Stephanie Perry. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm great, Cinnamon. I'm excited to talk to you.
Good. So I want you to tell our viewers, where are you from?
I am from exotic Dover, Delaware,
Okay.
and and, and that's where I am now because house sitters are stuck to their home country for a little while.
So we're going to talk about this house sitting so you can explain to our viewers what that is, what that means, and that type of thing for you. So
Yeah.
tell me, where were you last before COVID?
Before COVID, I was in Mexico. I spent 6 months out of the year house sitting in Mexico for retirees who are just down there living the life. So I was in Mexico. I left Mexico in February and went to Austin, Texas for a little bit. Came home in March. I was supposed to go back to Mexico May and June. I was booked for 2 months solid, but I didn't go, of course. Yeah.
So before we get into how you established this kind of living abroad here and there, how did you come about even wanting to move abroad or stay abroad?
I took a gap year. So I was working so that I could take, a couple weeks vacation at a time. And one day I was just like, I'm not doing it like this anymore. I'm going to take a year and I'm going to travel to all these places on my list and then go back to work, right? Just go back to my same job in Delaware, go back to work at the hospital and the pharmacy and, back to the same life. So I took a full year. It took me 15 months. I saved my money. I traveled for 12 months straight and came back and went back to work. And I was like, you know what? No, actually, I don't want to do this. Actually, I want to keep going. So I just Googled, I went to Google University and Googled how can I travel with no money? Because for that year I had spent every penny. I came back home with 30 some dollars. So I'm like, I still want to travel. I have no money. And I don't want this job is not going to help me travel. This is not a job where I can just, travel. So how can I do that? I just Googled it and Google told me to house sit.
So what made you think from your job that you wanted to take this kind of sabbatical or gap year and travel abroad? Like you could have done a bunch of things, but what made were you burnt out and you were just like, I want to stop? But then what was the leaving to go out of the country? How did that come?
It was really frustrating for me to be able to use the time off that I earned, right? I worked a job in a hospital where, you can see that you have accrued days off, but every time you put in, I'm going to take vacation on this day, it was always no, like literally no, you're not taking vacation on this day, or you need to find someone to work for you. You put in a 1-week vacation request and they would give me 3 days and not 3 consecutive days. Like it was horribly frustrating. And then around the same, while I was working there, I took a vacation with my parents. My mom had just retired. She was 65 and we went to Southern California, Catalina and, some stuff. And I just got to see what it looks like when you work until you're 65 and then try to live, right? I got to see that it's a scam, like waiting till retirement to really like enjoy life, to really live is a scam. Not that they're not enjoying their life. They are enjoying their lives. I call them the active seniors. They're enjoying their life. But, things are different now. Your body is, you have to work around some things at 65 that I didn't have to work around when I was 40, 41. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to do it like that. I understand that is a way, work until your retirement age and then, travel. But I was just like, nah, I'm not going to do it like that. So my first plan was just to take that full year and like do all of the things, go all of the places. But just a few weeks into that trip, I was like, actually, I also don't want to do that. I want to slow it down. Going to 4 cities in 3 days is not fun. It's not fun. Every, 2 or 3 days, you're in an airport or a bus station or a train station. That was also very tiring and exhausting and like the exact opposite of why I was out there traveling. So that's when I was like, well, slow it down, slow it down. Take it. I don't have anywhere to be. Like there's nothing, it's the first time as an adult that there was no place I needed to be, nothing I needed to do, nobody to report to. If I'm in a hostel and somebody says, oh, this town, look at this picture that I took in Ayutthaya in Thailand. I'm like, oh, I'm now going to Ayutthaya in Thailand. You know what I mean? Like, you can do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was, it was like a combination of being frustrated with the vacation system, seeing that retirement age was not going to be like, I didn't want to wait that long, and just hearing people tell about the options, which is why I love your channel. I love that you have people on here and you yourself share information. There's so much information out there that I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know that you could take a sabbatical and travel on a budget like I had. I was on a tight budget. I didn't know that existed. I thought you had to be, a jet-setting trust fund kid. I didn't know that you could do it on $1,200 a month. I spent $1,200 a month. And in Mexico, I spend much less. But I didn't even know it existed. So like everything came together to tell me that it's perfect timing. It's perfect time to go now.
So you got on the Google, and you started figuring out how do you do it. And so how did you take what you learned on Google and put it in actual practice?
I also reached out to communities, right? So on Facebook, there are just communities of people who are willing to share information. So I joined some travel tribes, some travel groups, so that, because even though Google was telling me to quit my job and become a house sitter, it didn't show me people who looked like me, right? They were 20-something white Australians, or retirement age people, but not people who looked like me. So I needed to find some community. I needed to find some people who were doing it too. So I got in those groups and listened and asked a little bit. I'm not the best at asking questions, but I asked a little bit, and that was the difference maker. I think that's the difference maker, being able to see other people like me doing it and making it and enjoying it, right? That was the difference maker. I had to do some regular stuff. I had to get my budget together, and I had to figure out the packing, which I spent way too much time on. I probably watched 100.
I did too. I probably spent, months just researching packing on YouTube.
And it was useless because I still packed way too much. I got to Thailand with a suitcase. No, I landed in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, with a suitcase that was so big and heavy, and the escalator didn't work. And so some Canadian guy carried my suitcase up for me. No, it was useless. I spent all that hours worrying about packing for nothing, because I did it wrong anyway, and still threw out so much stuff and bought a new tiny little suitcase and all that.
So how did you transition from learning the information to getting your first house sitting job? Where did you go first?
My very first house sit was right in Wilmington, Delaware. I lived in Wilmington, Delaware. There was a woman in Wilmington, Delaware who needed a house sitter at the last minute. And she actually contacted me because I was afraid. So even though I had joined, I house sit through a service called Trusted House Sitters. Even though I had joined Trusted House Sitters and I had put my profile up and I had gotten my little letter of reference that says Stephanie's a good person, I was afraid to apply for house sits because I was like, these white people, honestly, I was like, I don't know if anyone is going to accept me as their house sitter. So I didn't apply for a house sit, but she was desperate, and they can see where you are. They can see where there are house sitters available if you enable that. So she can see that I was in town. And so my very first house sit was local. I could have walked there if I had to. Okay. And it was a great way to just get my feet wet, to see what it's like, and give it a try. And it was amazing. Of course, it was amazing. And that was 4 years ago, and I'm still going strong.
And so from the local, how did you get the courage to do something abroad?
I saw a house sit that I couldn't turn down. Like, I saw a house sit pop up on the site, and I was like, I want this house sit. It was in Mexico. It was a full month, and the car was included. It was in a small town outside of Guadalajara on a lake. Right. I was like, I want this house sit. I want it. And so it was too good. The pull was too good. I couldn't not do it. I applied for the house sit right away. They were like, oh, you sound great. Let's talk. And they accepted me as a house sitter. Not only did they accept me as a house sitter, but when I landed in town, they were there at least a day before I got there, at least a day before they left, which sometimes happens, sometimes not. And they introduced me to all their little retiree friends and had a little barbecue for me. And I ended up getting booked for 6 months straight.
Wow.
I went there for 1 month for a 1 month house sit. They introduced me. I always tell people they pass me around to all their friends. They introduced me to everybody. And I ended up staying in that little town on Lake Chapala in Mexico for 6 months straight, just house sitting.
Now, how does house sitting work? Do you get compensated for your time there, or is it just you get the housing and so you don't have to pay for much else?
You get free accommodation only if you book through a service. So there are some large house sitting services out there, Trusted House Sitters, House Carers, Mind My House. There are large services out there that connect house sitters and people who need house sitters. And those are free. You are not paid to house sit.
Okay.
But once you get going and you get word of mouth house sits, any house that you book off of the site, you can charge for. I'm not good at negotiating. And so when I charge for a house sit, I charge just what it's going to cost me to eat for the day, you know? So like in Mexico, we're talking like $10 a day, because that's going to give me all the tacos, all the churros, all the cerveza I can handle for the day. But there are people who do charge, who do a better job of charging when they charge, you know, and who make enough money to live, not just to eat, you know, because when you were getting free accommodation. So I haven't paid for a place to stay or, you know, a utility bill in 3.5 years, except for in between house sits, I pay for, you know, something. But so it's kind of strange because I'm like, well, I don't want to charge them. I don't need anything. Like I pay my cell phone bill and I eat, and that's it. But
that is super dope. Like, I'm like, this sounds so nice. This sounds like such a cool life.
It's cool. You get to decide where you want to go, how long you want to go there. I boycott winter, so I don't do any wintertime house sits in any wintertime locations. That in the wintertime, I am in Mexico. You get to decide what, you know, where you want to be and when, and what things you want to do. And it's amazing. I'm so glad that Google told me to do this. I'm so glad.
That is hilarious. So when you're staying in these various places, let's say Mexico, so all these different places, you're not there for a long enough time for there to be a visa issue, right?
No, no. Mexico lets U.S. tourists come in for 6 months on that tourist visa. So no. And then I've house sat in the UK. I think I got 3 months when I landed there. So no, I don't book anything that's going to require me to do any extra work. I'm not going to go deal with renewing a visa or anything like that. You can, but I don't do that. Yeah. So I just stay as long as, you know, I stay in the region, as long as the tourist visa will let me, and as long as I can find house sits, you know.
That is awesome. And so, and the way that Stephanie and I met each other, because Stephanie reached out to me because she has a summit that's happening. You want to talk about the summit?
I do, because Cinnamon is a speaker in the summit. Just come to the summit. Summit is called Exodus Summit. It's a sabbatical summit for Black women travelers. If you have a desire to take some time off of work to travel, come to Exodus Summit. We're talking about the planning and logistics stuff, like how to become a house sitter for free accommodation. We're talking about work exchanges, which a lot of people do for free food, for free room and board. We're talking about money, like how much is it going to actually cost you to go somewhere for a year? And then we've got wonderful speakers like Cinnamon who are talking about how to shift this into some long-term living, how to turn what you know, your experiences, into a product or a service so that you can have an online business and you don't have to come back. If you don't want to come back to your job and start Googling stuff, just how can you stay gone? Like, how can you make this a permanent or a long-term transition? Exodus Summit is online September 21st through the 27th. And admission is free, like registration is free.
And just want to remind people that because this video is probably going to be up for years to come. So this is currently in 2020. The most memorable year ever. So the dates is 2020. So just check it out. Where they go to, and I'll put the links in the description box as well.
Yes, go to tix.exodussummit.com tix.tix/cinnamon. Okay, because Cinnamon is a speaker at the summit.
Oh,
Tix,
so I have my own link? I didn't know
you have your
that.
own. Oh yeah, girl, you have your own link. You do. tix.exodussummit.com/cinnamon. All right, you'll get all the information. If you're there after the summit, like if you don't land there until the summit is over, it's okay. There'll be something on the page. I don't know what it'll look like yet, but hello, future person. But yeah, so yeah, because what we want to do, so that like you. There's other YouTubers and bloggers and creators out there who just want to spread the word that we have options. We have choices. You don't have to build a whole life around, like your life doesn't have to be all work and then fitting in the fun stuff when you want. Your life doesn't have to be like, how do I survive this current environment? Right. It can be, how do I thrive in a new environment? Portugal, I always tell people, Portugal is the love of my life. Of all the places I went on my sabbatical or my gap year, it was the shortest, I think, because I was only in Portugal for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But oh my God, I fell in love with it. That's how I know. That's how I found you, because I can't stop watching videos about Portugal after I came back. But you don't have to just dream about it, right? You don't have to just say, that's nice for her. You can do it. You can do it. It's possible. It's probably easier than you think it's going to be. And it's so worth it. The payoff is amazing. Like the payoff of being in a place that you want to be and being free, like having free time and feeling the lightness that comes from being outside of the US. That's just how it is. It's a wonderful experience. It's worth it. We want it for you. And you want it for you. I mean, I can't stop talking to it. That's what I talk to people about all the time. I can't stop talking about it. But so many people just think it's for other people. I'm so happy. I love watching you. I love watching your videos. I'm like, no, the reason that they exist is because we want you to do it. Yeah, stop watching.
Let you know that it is a possibility, because I feel like, when you haven't done it before, you don't really know what your options are. And the good thing, like, your information and video is like you find other people like, oh, they did this. And the reason why I wanted to bring so many people on the channel is just like, some people may not be able to identify with my story. I get that. I mean, there's different perspectives. People have different energy. People have different, everything. So the whole goal is to find someone that you fit in and be like, they did it. And I love the route you took, because people are assuming that you have to have so much money to pull this off. And you listen, you killed it. Like
I did. When I left, I was spending $1,200 a month for that year. But now in Mexico, I'm not kidding. I was there the first time I was there for 6 months straight. I spent $3,000 total in 6 months because I was house sitting.
I can't imagine.
$3,000 lasted me 6 months without even trying to be, frugal, without even trying. I ate all the food. If there was some town I wanted to go visit, I'd hop on the bus and go visit that town. You can do it if money is the sticking point. Like if money is the thing where you think, oh, I can't do it because of the money. We're here to tell you that's not the case.
And how do you think this moving abroad has changed your perspective on life?
It's changed what I thought life was. Like it's big. I just wanted to see pretty places and take a bunch of pictures and, cross some places off my list. But it changed me. It changed everything. And that wasn't the goal. I wasn't out on some like vision quest. But it ended up changing me. I don't feel like I have to be anything in particular. I don't know how to say it. I'm not in a box. I didn't realize I was in a box. I didn't realize I felt like now looking back, I was like in a groove on a record. I was just like stuck in that groove, and I was just winding around and around until I got to a destination that wasn't even the destination that I had picked for myself. It was just the end of the record. But I now am free to do what I want. I found a lot of parts of myself that I didn't even know existed. I like to create. I like to make stuff. I like to talk and share with people. Everybody who ever has worked with me before knows that Stephanie Perry does not like to answer questions. Like that used to be my thing. Don't ask me any questions. One time, even that was my job, to answer people's questions. And I'd be like, don't come to me with no questions. I used to have a little cup where I would charge people to ask me questions. But man, I love just talking to strangers, listening to them, answering their questions. I found that out traveling long term. Because when you don't have any place to be and you sit down somewhere, some strangers will come up and talk to you. And sometimes you end up making an amazing friend just because you were there with nowhere to be and nothing to do. And your schedule is open and you're feeling good and you have a smile on your face and people approach you. It's like that is a fundamental change in my life. The openness and the friendliness. I used to be really shut off, so yeah, a fundamental change. I've also just I don't care to work anymore. Like, I don't care. I don't care to be a worker. I don't want to be viewed as a worker. We Americans, especially women, especially Black women, are told that our value is in our work, right? That you are valuable because of your hard work. And we praise ourselves and each other for being hard workers. And I used to take pride in that. Oh, I'm a hard worker, and I put in all these hours and I'm tired. No, I don't. I can't even identify with that. I really cannot relate with that anymore. I work very little. I work as little as possible. As little as possible. I do some freelance writing because, like I said, most of the house sits I do, I don't get paid. So every now and then I do some freelance writing work. And I can't tell, as little as possible. I'm not out here looking for new clients. Don't come to me. I'm not looking for new clients. I'm not trying to put in hours. Sometimes I've had months where I didn't even work 20 hours in the month because I don't need money. I don't need money. So, I no longer see myself.
I might need to lay on your couch and just really work out my issues because I feel like I work entirely too much, and I need to. Me and my friend Jamila were just talking about that even though we left the States, we are still caught up in the grind a bit and still kind of a little bit anxious. I mean, we're in a beautiful place, but we haven't gotten that part yet.
I think that you have local friends too, right? Like Portuguese friends. I think it'll happen. You'll get there. You'll get there. Just let them guide you. You'll get there. I think I just see it because I have you can see people at funerals and they'll be like, oh man, she was a hard worker. And I'm like, but that's what killed her. You're praising her for the actual thing that killed her too early, So at some point, it was like a switch that turned off. I no longer value hard work, not in myself and not in other people. Even when I see it in other people and they're so proud of themselves for being a hard worker, I'm like, you could be something else, right? That doesn't have to be your badge of honor. I'm really proud of a lot of the things about me, but not the hard worker part. That's gone, long gone.
I love it. And you look so happy. And just also, if you want more, Stephanie, I know I haven't advertised it yet because we're still pulling things together, but we have the Moving Abroad Summit and Stephanie's going to be one of our lovely speakers and panelists. So definitely jump on to that. But I don't have nothing to give you because we're still working. We'll have it by Thursday in the future people. And don't worry about it. Yeah. We'll have everything put out by people. Right. Future people, then there's a link somewhere. Do something with that. So what advice would you have for those individuals who are interested in moving abroad?
Do it. That's I don't know. That's not let's see. Let me give you some more tangible advice. Right? Seriously, there's so much more to gain than you even know. So do it. So my tangible advice would be to find a place that you're interested in and follow some people there. Find a group of people who are there, whether it's a Facebook group of people or some YouTubers or something. Find some people there and get connected to it because it's really you're swimming upstream, I think, or you have to fight the current to do it. Because everybody, the people in your life who are like, oh, congratulations for graduating from college. Congratulations for going to graduate school. Congratulations for buying a home. Those people are not the same people who are going to congratulate you for deciding to live the life of your dreams. I'm sorry to tell you. And so you need to find people who are going to celebrate you for making this decision to do something for yourself. But you're going to have to go out and find them because they may not be the same people. So don't get discouraged, but find people who will celebrate you. And then some of those people who are like, oh, don't do it. It's terrible. It's a terrible decision. A couple years later, they'll be like, no, exactly how did you? Right. Please, step by step, So don't get upset about it. It's just the way things are. But find people who are where you want to be, who are doing the things that you want to do, and form a community with them. That's the wonderful thing about the internet. As awful as 2020 has been, we're connecting. There are groups and communities all over that are online where you can just find somebody who will guide you, who will lead you, who will take you in.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Perry, Experiences Living Abroad. We appreciate you. Till next time.